All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's rock and roll with 3.3, which is solving systems of inequalities by graphing. So we have already talked about graphing inequalities at the end of chapter 2, and I think it's 2.5 when we talked about graphing inequalities. And so now we're just going to do a system. So 2 or more equations or 2 or more inequalities makes a system. And so we're going to just graph them. So we're just kind of pulling a couple things together. During one heartbeat, blood pressure reaches a maximum pressure and a minimum pressure, which are measured in millimeters of mercury, mmHg. It's expressed as the maximum over the minimum. So, for example, 120 over 80. When you go to the doctor, they'll give you blood pressure as a fraction like that. So the top number is the maximum and the bottom number is the minimum. So normal blood pressures for people under 40 ranges from 100 to 140 for the maximum and 60 to 90 for the minimum. So it says express this as a set of inequalities. So let's do one for our maximum. Okay, and so it ranges from 100. So it can be equal to 100. So we're going to say less than or equal to, and we'll just say x. And that is going to be less than or equal to the 140. So that's our range that they give us here. Okay, and we include both because it could be 100 or it could be 140. Okay, again, this is the normal. So the minimum, and we're going to use y for this one, ranges from 60 to 90. Again, it's going to include 60 and it's going to include 90. So if you look, you have that little graph next to it, and that's going to show us this. Oh, come on out. All right, so here we see our one. Oh, that's not what I wanted. It's feisty. We're going to see between our 100 and our 140. Okay, it's going to be greater than 100. So x is greater than 100. Remember, you can think about that this way. So that means we shade to the right. Okay, and then less than 140, so we shade to the left. This is just shaded in the where it overlaps. Okay, then we see the same thing with the y's. Here's our 60, here's our 90. We're going to shade below 90 and we're going to shade above 60. So that little yellow box, well, which is now purple, is our solution set. All right, classy catering needs at least 15 food servers and 5 bussers to cater a large party. In order to make a profit, they can have no more than 34 food servers and 7 bussers working at an event. Okay, if they have more than that, they aren't going to make money on it. So write a system of inequalities that represent it. So let's talk about servers. So the lowest amount of servers we can have is 15. And we can have 15, so we're going to include it with the equals. So S for servers. And the most we can have is 34. So we want to have less than or equal to 34. Okay, now we're going to talk about bussers. The smallest amount of bussers we can have is 5. And we can have equal to that. And the largest is 7. So just some simple inequalities here for us. And we're not going to worry about graphing those. Okay, but that is a system there of inequalities. All right, so let's go ahead and look at a system of inequalities that we can graph. So we've graphed inequalities before. This isn't new. In Algebra 1, we did it. I think it was Unit 1. We might have even graphed systems of inequalities, maybe Unit 2. Okay, so these are really nice. They're already in slope-intercept form for us. So we're going to start with our y-intercept. So let's go ahead and do the top one, and I'll do that in blue. Okay, so my y-intercept is 4, so I'm going to go up 4 and make my point. And then my slope is -2, so I want to think about that as -2 over 1. So that means I'm going to go down 2 and to the right 1, down 2 and to the right 1, all the way through. All right, so when we talked about inequalities before, we talked about solid and dotted lines. If you don't remember these, you might want to jot this down in your notes. If you have ones that are not equal, this is dotted. And if you have equals 2 bars, these are solid. Okay, So if I look, my top one has an equals to bar in my inequality. So I'm going to make this a solid line. Okay, then we have to decide which direction to shade. Again, this is on the board. This has already been written in your notes, but you can jot it again at the top of the notes if you don't remember. Less than or equal to is shade below. And greater than or equal to is shade above. Now these only work when the Y is on the left side. Okay, and just the Y, which we have in this. So if we see, we have a greater than or equal to, so I'm going to shade above. All right, I'm going to go ahead and grab green for my next line. My y-intercept here is -2, and then my slope is 1. So I'm going to go up 1, over 1 to the right, all the way through. But remember, I can go the opposite too. I can go down 1 and to the left 1. This is also an equals to, so I'm going to have it as a straight line, a solid line. And now this is a less than or equals to, so I'm going to shade below. So my solution set is where both of them are shaded. So just make sure it's extra dark in that area or that you have two different colors and they cross over. All right. Okay. So here's some more. Ooh, this one has an absolute value in it. So don't forget absolute values. We break those up into less than, and you keep the sign, and then you change the sign to greater than, and then we make it negative. All right, so this is actually going to give us two lines on our graph. So I'm going to graph this one first. Y is less than 3. So if it's a y equals, it's only going to cross my y-axis. So I'm going to go up 3, and it's not, it doesn't have an equals to bar, so it's a dotted line. Okay, this I would shade below. And do you guys remember when in class one time I just showed you an option that instead of fully shading, you can just draw lines. I'm just going to do that to start because I don't want to overwhelm my graph. If you have colors and you want to do that, that's fine. Okay, now we're going to do y is greater than -3. So I count down 3, and it's a dotted line because it's not equal to. And it's a greater than symbol. So I'm going to shade above my line. So I just have those arrows in so I'm not overwhelming it. All right, let's go ahead and look at this one. It's in slope-intercept form, so that's great. My y-intercept is -1, and my slope is +1. So up 1, over 1 to the right, all the way through, or I can go down 1 and to the left, all the way through. This one is equal to, so I'm going to make this a solid line. And it's a greater than or equal to, so I'm going to shade above this. So now I want to look, where do all my arrows point? That's my shaded area. So I can see I'm going to go below here, above here, and above here. So this section here is my solution. So the new thing for us was just keeping in mind that absolute value can be put in there. All right, go to the back side. Ooh, slope-intercept form already again. I'm going to have you guys pause the video here and go ahead and give this one a try on your own, and then come back and compare it to mine. All right, take a look here. I did the top equation in blue and the bottom one in green. And then I shaded for both of them, and then I just reshaded here in the red to emphasize that my solution is the area in between my two lines. All right, so it's a dotted line for the top one, and it's a solid line for the bottom one, and you're going to shade between the two. Okay, next one up. Ooh, these ones are in standard form, so I can move these into slope-intercept form. It's easiest to do that because then I can use my sign to help me shade. So I'm going to take my top one and subtract x to both sides. So this is -y. Don't lose that negative. All right, so I got to get rid of the negative. So everything is going to get divided by -1. So y, ooh, I divided by a negative, so I'm flipping the sign. This isn't new stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We've learned this stuff. We're just putting it together with two equations. Again, we did this last year in Algebra 1. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this, put a point at 1, and my slope is 1. There's that 1 here. So up 1 over 1 all the way through, down 1 and to the right 1 all the way through. And this is a solid line because it has it equals to bar and less than, so I'm going to shade below. All right, so now my bottom equation, I'm going to subtract 3x over. So again, don't drop that negative. So we're going to get rid of it by dividing by -1. Okay, so we have y. Ooh, we divided by a negative, so flip the sign. It becomes 3x minus 4. So my y-intercept is down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and my slope is up 3 over +1. So I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1, up 3, and to the right 1, up 3, and to the right 1. Okay, it's a solid line. And I'm going to shade above it. So taking a look there, I see this little triangle piece here carved out that has both of them shaded. So again, just make sure you're really emphasizing that. Okay, so then your next one here, it gives you 3 equations. They have y, and then we have, ooh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to flip this one here. So my x comes first, because that's the way I'm used to seeing it. All right, I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and my slope is -1. So down 1 and to the right 1. Okay, and it's a less than. Oh, and not equal, so it's a dotted line. Remember, you can draw it solid and write dotted underneath it if you'd like. And it's shaded below. All right, y is greater than 3. Here's my y. So up at 3, it's a solid line. Y is greater than, so I'm going to shade above. All right, and then the last one, x is greater than -5. So -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a dotted line. And greater than is going to push me over this way. Ooh, that little area in the corner right here is where I see all 3 of them shaded. All right, go ahead and give your 3.3 a worksheet a try and come with it completed for our next class. Again, don't forget, you can reach out and shoot me an email before 3:30 today, and I can get response back to you and help answer any questions. See you guys later.